Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Northeastern High School. As your kids get ready to embark on their journey as high school students. We are super excited to have you here. Thank you for coming this evening. I know this was a rescheduled event, canceled because of a snow situation, weather-related situation, and rescheduled to today, so we appreciate your flexibility. And if you have any friends, family members who want to come and are unable, we will be recording this. Our friend Ian in the back there is recording the whole thing. It'll have audio and video for this. He'll edit it over the course of the week, and we will blast that out to the middle school, to the 8th grade families. I have all of your email addresses, so we'll blast it out to you, and we'll post it on the middle school's website. I'll work to have them post that. So this presentation will be available online. Well, thank you for coming. We're super excited. We are talking about course selection. So one of the processes at high school is students have a lot more choice over their course options. They get to pick a lot more of their courses. So we do this process after 8th grade. When they go to 9th grade, they really do it very independently. We ask for feedback from families, but they really can do this very independently. They consult with a guidance counselor, with a homeroom teacher, and they essentially build their course requests independently. This first year, Ms. Bizignani will be pushing into the middle school, meeting with 8th graders, I have that right? And she'll be helping your students to navigate the system and select courses. There's not quite as many options for incoming 8th graders, who will be 9th graders, as there are when kids are like in 11th, 12th grade, but there's still a good bit of choice, and we want to help kids capitalize on those choices, make the right choices. Just a few basics. My name is Matthew Gay. I'm the principal for the high school. We have two grade level assistant principals, Dr. Bream, who is somewhere around here. Dr. Bream is in the back. She's just waved. Dr. Bream takes care of sophomores and juniors, and Ms. Bell takes care of freshmen. She had a previously scheduled commitment. She couldn't be here, but she will primarily work with those freshman students. Our guidance office, the 9th grade guidance counselor is Ms. Bizignani. Wave to them, and she'll be talking through a lot of this presentation. Ms. Bizignani services all the freshmen. And then as the kids get a little bit older, or in a support function for Ms. Bizignani with other kids, or kids who need some other help, we have 3 other counselors, Dr. Bierker. He works with kids whose last names begin with A through G in grades 10 through 12, Ms. Gamber, H through O, and Ms. Hack, P through Z. So that's how we arrange our guidance services. For next year, your primary point of contact on the guidance end is Ms. Bizignani, and she is here. We'll talk just a second. High school can be scary, but we find a lot of kids have unexpected success. I think their families kind of find their success, their ability to navigate the high school environment. A lot of parents are surprised at how well students transition from 8th to 9th grade. We do point out a few key things, keys to success at high school. Attendance is, of course, the first. You know, I'm always struck when students or families are shocked when a kid's grades are suffering and a student has missed over 10% of the school days. I often say, well, I wouldn't be successful at my job if I missed 18 days out of every 180. I wouldn't be successful in my job. I don't think it would be reasonable for us to expect students to be successful. So coming to school is a baseline expectation, absolutely essential for success. Study habits. We find so many kids aren't really versed on how to study, how to review, how to prepare for assessments, daily work expectations. So working with your kids to have a time where they do their work. Ideally, they come home from school after practice or after the school day, and they immediately take care of their school commitments, whether that's homework, reviewing material, practicing an instrument. All of that counts. That's all part of study habits and practice to make sure you're prepared for the next day. You'll see we talk about communication. So often that triangle, when we have problems, it's that one piece of that triangle is not working. That communication triangle is parent, student, and teacher. All 3 people need to be on the same page, hopefully working together, and that tends to yield success for students. So we'll work hard to help facilitate that triangle of communication. We really encourage our students, our freshmen and others, to get involved. And in fact, if you saw some of the feedback from our seniors, we recently did exit interviews with our seniors for their graduation project. Many of them talked about, we give them the question, we pose a question, what advice would you give to an incoming freshman? And they often say, get involved. Participate in all the extracurricular options, explore the curricular options, find out what you're interested in after high school, and start picking courses and activities that support those goals. You'll see out in the lobby we have a curriculum fair set up, so those tables are put together by our departments, and they're there to really market their courses. We have some amazing course offerings. Our departments are doing really dynamic things to make school engaging, interesting, fun, and relevant for our students. And so they're highlighting a lot of that. We hope our students take advantage of those opportunities, the curricular, and then the extracurriculars. Yesterday, we had a group of students present to our school board about High Street Media. These are the kids involved with broadcast journalism and the yearbook. And we had Model UN students talking about that exercise and what they do in that activity. And then we had students from FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, who operate our school store and engage in competitions and things like that. They all presented and talked about how important those extracurricular opportunities have been to keep them engaged and to really prepare them for their future. Our last thing here is goals. This is a personal one for me. I don't know how often when I see a kid who kind of flounders and I find out that they haven't started thinking or developing goals. We all work better when we have a goal to work toward, right? And that helps with students as well. You know, school suddenly takes on meaning if a student has a goal of, yes, I want to become an auto mechanic when I leave school. School becomes meaningful because then we can start putting courses in place. If a student says, yes, I want to be an engineer. Yes, I want to be an author. Yes, I want to be, whatever that is. School takes on a different importance when there is a goal associated with it. And we can start helping that kid realize his or her future with those goals and lining the things up, the activities, the opportunities in line with that goal. So these are just some keys to high school success. We hope that you think about those as we schedule and as you talk to your students about the upcoming high school experience. At Northeastern, we operate on a block schedule as the basis for our daily schedule. It's very collegiate. For those of you who've experienced a college schedule, it's pretty collegiate in nature. So our students typically take 4 or 5 classes at a time, right? So no more 8 classes. High schools are typically scheduled either block schedule or traditional schedule. Traditional schedule, students will take 6, 7, 8 classes. Our kids take either 4 or 5 usually. Most of our classes are 80 minutes in length and meet for a semester. At the end of the semester, kids get a whole new schedule of courses, right? So they get to experience a teacher for 1 semester and then they get whole new teachers for the 2nd semester. So it's a lot like college. It gives them a nice opportunity to start over, to start fresh in January. We like that part of it. The year is divided into 2 semesters and or 4 quarters. So we do have some classes that are half credit classes and they meet for a quarter at a time. All right, so we have these different kind of configurations. Block is an 80-minute block. We have half credits, which is a 40-minute course. And we have courses that meet for marking periods. We have courses that meet for a semester. And we have some courses that meet for a full year. A 2-credit class would meet 80 minutes a day for a full year. So we had that, other class arrangements. Students who study music at our high school, orchestra, band, chorus, will take what we call skinny classes. All of our music classes are offered period 1 in the day. So the first period in the day, 7:35 to about 8:15. All of our music classes are offered at that time. It works out because the music teachers are shared staff. They work in other buildings. And at elementary buildings, their day starts a little later so they can see the high school kids and then serve their elementary kids. So as a result, our music kids all study music first period. And then second, so that's a 40-minute block. It's a half of a full block. And then the second period, they have a course that we would call a skinny because it looks skinny on a schedule, right? It's not a full block, it's 40 minutes. And that second 40-minute class is called the skinny, and kids will have a whole host, music kids will have a whole host of courses they can take that are formatted to meet in that arrangement. It sounds complicated to parents. Students will understand it within 2 days of coming to the high school. It sounded complicated to me. It took me about a week to understand it when I came here. So, we do have quarter classes. We say they're 9 weeks. We don't really have any A-B classes. Those are classes that meet on alternating days for 9th graders. We don't really have any of those. So you could have a class that meets on an odd day, but then on an even day, they don't go to the class, and then they come out, they just attend on the odd days. In a block schedule, in a school that has a block schedule, you'll usually have something called a flex period. It's just the way the length of periods work out. We have 80-minute periods and a 30-minute lunch. It gives us a little bit of opportunity for a flex, approximately 45 minutes. We use this time, this flex period, we use this time for a homeroom. For us, it starts at 9 o'clock, so it has a homeroom component. So students meet with a homeroom teacher. After 9th grade, once they hit 10th grade, they'll have the same homeroom teacher in most cases for their whole careers. When we can arrange that, it usually happens that way. That homeroom teacher becomes something of an advisor, helps them with scheduling, helps the student with graduation project. Then the kids see the announcements. So we mentioned our High Street Media broadcast team. We display those during that time. And then kids have this opportunity through something we call academic prep, where the students can go and meet with teachers for extra help. Students can initiate that. They can request a teacher, so a student can go to Ms. Biziani and say, Ms. Biziani, I need to meet with you. How about next Tuesday during academic prep? And then she can make the request and the student knows to go there. Or the teacher can request the kid of his or her own accord. So the teacher might say, this kid's been absent for a few days. He's getting over being sick. I have some assessments I need to get caught up on. I need to give him some notes and make sure he understands the content. I'm gonna request this kid for a couple days during that academic prep period. It's a fabulous resource. Most students and teachers say it's one of the most valuable programs or structures that we have in place at the high school. So it's really an opportunity to just make sure kids' needs are met, another way to do that. And then we have lunch. All kids get a 30-minute lunch, and that lunch is during their 4th period. So we have 4 lunch waves during 4th period. So if you were to look at a schedule, a bell schedule, our 4th period looks like it's 2 hours long. It's actually 90 minutes long because there's a 30-minute lunch in there. And you'll have that all committed to memory very shortly. This is what our bell schedule looks like. So you'll see period 1, 2, that's the first block, is an 85-minute class. But you can see period 1 and period 2 we break those out for those music kids. Then we go to academic prep. BBC, that means the announcements and homeroom. And then we move to that flex where kids can be called or requested. Period 3, regular instructional period. And that one's 80 minutes as well. Period 4 is the lunch period. Includes a 30-minute lunch, so it's 11:20 to 1:10. It says 110 minutes, but it's actually 80 minutes of instruction, 30 minutes of lunch. And our last period, period 5, 1:15 to 2:35, and that's 80-minute period as well. So that's our base schedule. That's a normal school day, a day we don't have early dismissals, assembly, anything like that. So that's our base schedule. At high school, we talk about credits and we talk about courses. So to graduate high school and to be promoted, you have to earn certain numbers of credits, right? So graduation at our high school requires 27 credits. Courses translate to credits, right? So a normal regular 80-minute class meets for a semester is worth 1 credit. A course that meets for 1 marking period is typically a half credit. You're trying to accumulate 27, and we have promotion standards. To move from 9th grade to 10th grade, you have to secure 5 credits. To go from 10th grade to 11th grade, you have to have 11 credits. So we have these promotion requirements based on credits. So we talked about this a little bit, we talked about that. Yeah. This is what a schedule would look like. Students will have a schedule that will look like this. So semester 1, we can kind of see what this kid has. This student has Intro to French, period 1, 2, it's a full 80-minute class. This is not a music student. Then we have the academic prep where the student would go to homeroom. Then period 3, the student would have US history. Period 4, algebra 1, and period 5, accounting. Accounting's an elective and French is an elective. So this is really an ideal. I have 2 academic courses, 2 electives in the first semester. My second semester for this student has period 1, 2, an art appreciation course. Then goes to academic prep. Then French 1, earth and environmental science, and English 9. That's an 8 credit schedule. That student has the opportunity to earn 8 credits. That's well on the way to the 27 needed to graduate, right? That's a good schedule. That works out. Student does well, meets at least a 70 in every course, we're gonna earn 8 credits. Okay, we have a music schedule. I didn't notice it changed. I was looking at the top. This is a music schedule. So this one will have, the difference here is period 1 and 2 will be split into 2 different classes. Period 1 is called Applied Music. That's the name of the course for any music course a student takes. So if a student is in band, they'll take Applied Music. They'll meet for 40 minutes all year long. 40 minutes a day, all year long. So that's why it's over here too for semester 1. If it's orchestra, same thing. If it's chorus, same thing. And the student can take any combination of those. A student can be in band and orchestra, but not chorus, or in all 3 of them. The teachers of the courses work out rehearsals and practice and all that. So it could be on all 3. Period 2, then, we have what we call a skinny, right? Because it's a half-block class really designed to support the music kids. So period 2 this one has a phys ed class that will meet for the semester for 40 minutes. Over here, I have a period 2 skinny in digital concepts, right? So half credit, 40 minutes for the semester. And we would say it works with this. It's married to this course. So those 2 courses work together. Does everybody understand that concept? Your kids will understand it like in 2 days. They'll have a firm understanding of it. And this is just what it looks like for a marking period, when there's changes in marking periods. Whew. Now we're on to calculus here. Here's where we have a difference. In this class, a student, in this schedule, a student has a 4th period in the first marking period, phys ed class. That phys ed class is a half credit course. So that kid needs a different course for the second marking period. And this course, what's DConc? Digital concepts, thank you. This kid has digital concepts, an intro computer class that every freshman will take for the second quarter. So all we did was just put together 2 separate half credit courses, make sure that kid has the opportunity to earn a full credit in the first semester between 2 different courses. Same thing happens here. Period 5, conversational Spanish, a half credit Spanish course, and then period 5, crafts, a half credit art course. That make sense? So those are kind of different configurations. I think we can move on. Graduation requirements. We have English, social studies, science, and math. We require 4 of every core, and we require a student to take 1 of every core every year. So to make sure you understand that, we require 4 of every core. The core are math, English, social studies, and science. And we require a student to take 1 of every core every year. So you could have a student who's really interested in science, maybe wants to be a scientist, a doctor, work in medicine. That student may take way more, this is the beauty of block scheduling, than 1 science class a year. Maybe that student in 9th grade tries to accelerate and take earth and environmental science and bio in the same year. And then in 10th grade, has opportunity to take chemistry and maybe takes field bio or an elective, field biology. And in 11th grade, can take anatomy, physiology, and 12th grade takes physics. That's an option where a kid just scheduled 6 science classes. That kid built a 6 science class transcript. As long as the student takes 1 of every year, at least 1 of every year, we're good. Does that make sense? And the idea is we didn't want kids finishing all their requirements in 2 years, which could conceivably happen. It creates some problems for post-secondary transition, right? If our goal is a liberal arts education, and it is, then that's not really meeting the expectation. We find some issues with transition plans. Phys ed, every kid needs 1.5 credits. That amounts to 3 classes. Health, every kid needs a half credit health. Safety ed, we'll need a half credit safety ed course. That's driver's ed plus. It's a driver's ed course. Just the theory class, not behind the wheel. Every kid needs a credit of computer classes, and one of those courses will be digital concepts. Students can take a whole lot more. There's a whole list of other options. Every kid needs a credit of practical and or fine arts. Fine arts would be music, the visual arts. Practical arts are more like the tech ed classes, things of that nature. World language, we require 1 credit of world language. We offer French, German, Spanish as traditional regular courses. We can go French, German, or Spanish. We have a 2-credit graduation project. Students do not take a course for this. It's done throughout their academic career. So they don't take a special course for it, but they're completing tasks outside of the classroom that will result in the culmination of 2 credits at the end of their, at their senior year. And then a student must take 3.5 credits of elective. Total credits required for graduation are 27, but a student who passes every credit and takes a class for every opportunity that's offered could earn up to 34 credits. Does that make sense? So there's plenty of opportunity to meet your graduation requirements. That 34 would be a kid who's never had a study hall, passes all classes. The perfect situation would be 34 credits. All right, here's the important things for you specifically as your student is moving from 8th to 9th grade. A 9th grade requirement. The 9th grader needs to take 8 total credits, to schedule I should say, 8 total credits and 4 alternative credits. At least 1 math class. Now, we told your students one thing and we're changing it a little bit. We were under a proposal from our math department to look at a new configuration for math. We've asked them and they've agreed to hold off 1 year on that. We're going to formulate that a little bit more, make sure we have some of our options and some of our descriptions a little bit more solidified. So this is what we've been doing. Students take at least 1 math class. Their options would be intensive algebra or algebra 1, algebra 2, or geometry for most 9th grade students. Intensive algebra means it's a full year algebra class, 80 minutes a day for a whole year, right? Algebra 1, semester, semester, semester. Was there anything else on that last page I had to talk about? I didn't get to see that. Oh, other 9th grade requirements. A student must take English 9, US history, that's the 9th grade social studies, earth and environmental science, the 9th grade science class, and then we recommend some electives. We recommend all 9th graders take digital concepts, and then we recommend all 9th graders take their phys ed course, either team sports or aquatics, right? We have 2 aquatics courses they can take as freshmen. Students should take a world language course, right, moving toward that, and any other required courses that they're able to take. How do we know? So high school courses are leveled, right? So we try to group kids with similar abilities, skills, and sometimes interest level into the same group, right? So our courses are leveled. And you might be asking, how do we determine what level a student takes? And this is really for our academic courses, for the 4 core courses. We use a PVAS projection. Now this is pretty complicated. PVAS, Pennsylvania Value Added Assessment System. What happens is your student's keystone and more pertinently, the PSSA history is recorded, and then based on that information, a regression is made and a projection is made for how your student should perform on a next key assessment. And for us, those key assessments are the keystone exams, course end exams in algebra, biology, or English. So we have a projected performance level for your student based on their testing history on how they should, with 1 year of growth, perform on a certain assessment. So we can look at a student in math, for instance, and project how they should perform on the keystone in algebra. Well, we would use that figure, that projection, to determine what level of math your student should be in, like what level of algebra your student should be in, right? And our folks are using that. The science folks are looking at what biology projections are. Our English folks are looking at the English projections. And so that's the first tool we use to determine what level a student should take. Now, that's not written in stone, but that is where we start, right? We find that to be more concrete, objective data than some other tools that have been used in the past. So that's our primary one. We also use some other things. A student may take a CDT, a classroom diagnostic tool. This is a Department of Ed developed tool. It's endorsed by the Department of Ed. It's aligned to our keystone exams, and it's a benchmarking tool. And we can see students' skill levels. It's a smart test, so the test becomes harder or easier based on its students' performance on that assessment. We use that a lot in our school, especially in science, math, and English. So we may use that as well to help determine where a student should, what course a student should take, what level. We also use the Scholastic Reading Inventory, and we'll be doing a universal screening of all 8th graders I believe in April, after the English PSSAs are over, we'll be using the SRI to test all 8th graders to determine their reading levels. And we'll use that with some of this other information to help determine if some students need some reading support. We are blessed here to have 3 full-time reading specialists who use a curriculum, the Scholastic reading curriculum. We have 2 different course options, course paths, for students who need some reading support. It is not that unusual for a student to come to high school and be a little bit below grade level in their reading ability. And it's our absolute belief that literacy is the primary skill needed to succeed in the academic world. So we spend a lot of resources and a lot of energy and a lot of time and labor to ensure we are helping kids read on level. So we have a lot of kids who take a class, what we would call an intervention class, to help them get up to speed on reading. The courses are designed to help kids based on where they are and give them what they need. And at certain transition points, marking periods and semesters, the students are assessed, and if they're performing at a level that says they're on or approximating grade level, we move them out into other courses, right? It's an intervention. It's a temporary attempt to provide support and to help just bring a kid up to level. Once a kid's demonstrating the skill, they move on. There are some kids who take courses, high school courses while in 8th grade, and those, of course, considered, and we help place kids in courses based on that history too. So there are kids who took Algebra 1 in 8th grade. Well, they would move on to the next math in the sequence, to Algebra 2. Does that make sense? All right, we're gonna move on. This might be where you pick up. There's some specifics. I'm gonna hand it over to Ms. Bizignani. Come over, you can come up. Yep.
Okay. All right. Yes. Okay, so one of the things that I've already been over to the middle school, and I've seen each of the homerooms at the middle school. So they've already had a demonstration on what the course selection is going to look like. So students will be scheduling online. This is the start of their online scheduling. They will be scheduling that way throughout their high school career. The students are very familiar with the Sapphire program. That's where they log in to see their grades at this point. If you log in, you're going to see a new folder that says course selection form. So we just want to have a moment to be able to show you how the students are going to be selecting their elective classes. So he's going to switch that up here. Right, and if you just go to the Chrome. Yep. There we go. So there's the tabs on the left-hand side, and you can see where it says course request form. When the student clicks on that tab, they'll see where it says 9th grade courses, and it says fill out course request form. It's just like I told the students, I'm not going to sit here and read you the directions, but there is a set of directions underneath. If you go to the next slide here, it'll actually show you when you click on the fill out course request form. If you just hit the one up the top to the right. I already have it open. Yep. Just click on that. There you go. This is what the course request form looks like. This is what students were shown during that homeroom time. If you look, it says here at the top, you must take 4 elective credits. You may choose up to 4 alternative elective credits. These will be used in case you do not get your first choice. The things that I tell students when they're looking at this, as I said, you notice it says request form, not a guarantee form. So what I tell students is on the left-hand side, when you're choosing those classes, these are your most favorite classes. These are the things that you want first. On the right-hand side are the opportunities that are alternative choices. So when I see a student, and we can use art appreciation here. If you click on the question mark, This is going to give the student the course description. There was course selection books up here, and each of the students also received a course selection book, but it's really wonderful that we have the course selection book basically behind each of the question marks there, so a student isn't going to have to go back and forth between the course selection book and the screen. They can actually click on there and read the course description. So when I look at the course description, it tells me about the class. So if we close that out, I tell students art appreciation is basically an art history course. There is also a course called Art Fundamentals. Art Fundamentals also has pieces of art history in it as well, and do projects that go along with the different segments of art history. So I tell a student, if your number one choice is art appreciation, you might want to consider Art Fundamentals as your alternative choice. That you're telling me, okay, I'm willing to take Art Fundamentals instead of art appreciation if it doesn't fit into my schedule. So as we go down here, if we scroll, actually before we scroll down, if you just look, you can see up here too where it says credits. I've already kind of pre-selected 4 credits here for a student, and then there's a save. So as we go through here, we'll look at, like I said, the courses that were picked. This student happened to pick Intro to Business and Finance, Sports Events Management, and then has as an alternative choice Business and Personal Law. The recommended course for computer has been selected, the Digital Concepts course. Then as we go down a little bit further, I'm going to get to the music section here in a minute, but the recommended gym class, and like you said, there's your aquatics courses to choose from or your team sports. I tell students, I remind them the B and the G stands for boys and girls. Just mark off what's according to them. There is also technical education courses. Now, the technical education courses, I'm going to point something out here. If you look, it says Introduction to Materials. If you read the question mark, this is an introduction to our wood and metal shop. I have a lot of students that enjoy the course over at the middle school and want to continue taking wood and metal. So they spend 4.5 weeks in each of these areas. Now, I have students who want to go off and maybe just mark off woodworking 1 or metals 1. So if we close this out and look at either woodworking or metals 1. Yep, click on the question mark for me, please. There we go. So what I tell students is I have them look through here and they read it, but if you look at the very last line, there's the word prerequisite. So I tell students, if you're reading and you see that there is a prerequisite, and then we explain what the word prerequisite means, that you have to take another class before this class, you must take the Introduction to Materials class before you can take the Wood 1. So I tell students, if you want to be able to take Wood 1 in the same year, and this is again that beauty of block scheduling, if you mark off Introduction to Materials and Wood 1, I try to do it in the schedule combination that you have Introduction to Materials in the fall and woodworking in the spring. I do try to tell students not to make too many combinations like that because the computer actually schedules you. And the computer sometimes, because it may be the fall semester, it wasn't able to incorporate the Introduction to Materials into your class schedule for that fall semester, but it will end up showing that you have Wood 1 in the spring semester. Over the summer, I go through every student's schedule to make sure that they have a full schedule and that there isn't a mistaken combination like that. So if you do choose a combination where you hope to get something in the fall and something in the spring because of prerequisite, I just recommend that you don't do too many combinations of that so that you only have maybe one combination. I also, if you are marking off your alternative choices, again, if you have the Introduction to Materials and you mark off the woodworking 1 as your alternative choice, that's really not a true alternative choice because you need the other one in order to have that. So I just tell students to keep that in mind as they're scheduling. You can see here, here's our language section. You have shorter versions, half-credit versions of French, German, and Spanish. These courses, I tell students, are kind of a get your feet wet to world language. These tend to have a smaller amount of vocabulary involved with them. They incorporate a good deal more about the culture of the language and the people. Now, exploratory language is a little bit different. It's actually a combination of the conversational French, conversational German, and actually we are able to offer 3 weeks of Russian. So students take 3 weeks of German, 3 weeks of French, and then 3 weeks of Russian. So they actually get a taste of all 3 of those languages. So it's an exciting course that we're able to offer here. Okay? So they've picked their 4. If you hit Save Course Requests, every student has to save their course request form. And we've timed out. So just hit on their username. Just click on it. Just hit on that. Hit 8th grade. Okay, when you go to password, click on it. Click on password, put 1 through 9. Get rid of that. And just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the PIN, do 4, 6, 8, 7, 8. And log back in. Right. So log back in, go back to our sheet up here. Okay, so this will time you out as it's demonstrated here. If it's timed you out, just log back in and you're able to go back to it. So hit save now. And it's not liking us today, so yeah, no, it normally doesn't do that. So just go back to the course request form. Just over to the side there to where it says course request on the left. That one right there, yep. So you're going to save your course request form, and it's going to show you what you've chosen as your first choices, and then it's going to tell you what you've chosen as your second choices. I do recommend printing out that form so that you have it so you can remember the elective classes that you picked. What we do try to do is once I have a student's request with their math, science, English, and social studies and their elective classes, you typically get that about the second week of May over at the middle school so that you'll see what the levels are for the students for their math, science, English, and social studies and also their electives. Now, when it comes to this, you may do this at any time. You can do this at home, but I will be going to the middle school actually starting tomorrow. I start with the orange team tomorrow, and then on the 28th, I am see the green team, and then March 2nd, I see the gold team. And I will be scheduling with them in their classes, and then you will be able to pull it up, see what they've scheduled with their classes for their electives. Just real quick, the music department, if you go up to the music, yeah. If you're a music student, 2 of your credits are going to be picked through the music. So if you click on the applied music, just like Mr. Gay said, this is going to stand for your chorus, orchestra, or band, and that is 1 credit out of your 4 electives. You must then choose 2 more. If you notice, there are classes that are same as outside the music time block. So for example, if the student doesn't want to take digital concepts outside the music time block, they can take it here. And then I do recommend a student choose an alternative elective in here in case you do not get your first choice in the electives that are there. And again, then you would hit save and then you would see the requests that you picked. And then there's just a little bit to the rest of the PowerPoint, and that is it. I think once you get online and you see how this works, I know the students last year really enjoyed doing it this way, and we had really good response from our parents of doing it this way as well and being able to participate with it. So, just a couple things, and I tell students, please make sure you're aware. I know teachers teach certain courses that does not necessarily guarantee they will teach the same course the following years. We do recommend also, too, I tell students, you might enjoy a class and you're thinking, well, me and my friend will sign up for the same classes, we'll both take Introduction to Materials. I tell them the problem is there's going to be 8 different sections of Intro to Materials. So you getting that same class as your friend is going to be very limited. I want you to take classes that you want to take and start thinking about what you do when you finish school. That's what these elective classes are about, so that they can start exploring what it is they might like to do when they finish school. So, and just as a reminder, like I said, every class you take, you are starting your transcript, so you want to make sure that you're passing your classes and doing your best in your classes and take advantage of all the opportunities that we have here to offer you. I have on here, like I said, the dates to remember. I've met with all the students already during their period 1 time, and then the dates that I will be in the rooms for the different colored teams. And then again, you have that ability to schedule with your students online. And I would say the window to the scheduling is probably going to close mid to the end of March for students. So there is a time window with this. And then, like we said, this is being recorded, so then you will be able to pull this up online and be able to view the PowerPoint and the recording. All right.
Woo! That was a lot. We would love to take a bunch We would love to be able to take a bunch of questions, but I have a musical rehearsal that is slated to start, and they've finished dinner, and we hear some things going on back there, so we're going to have kids coming in. Ms. Bizignani, myself, Dr. Bream, Mr. Williams, we'll be out in the lobby. You'll be able to ask us questions there and touch base. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thanks for hanging through as we had a couple little technical glitches. We appreciate your help, and we're looking forward to working with your 8th graders, soon to be 9th graders as they come to high school. Thank you.